Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Off Season Volume 6. We are now 24 weeks out from the 2020 Olympia, and this is also 28 weeks into my off season. So I've had a long, good off season. Currently, we are in home sheltering, and the coronavirus is full-fledged in the United States, and we have lots of restrictions and staying within home, so that it affected a lot of people, a lot of my clients that I work with. And for myself, I work at home all day anyway, so I'm not having to leave my job and work at home because I already do. It affects me in the sense that I have lots of clients that usually were going to work. Some have been laid off, some have to close their gyms, and that's affected my business. I have less clients, and they're having to prioritize just having an income or just getting food. Another restriction has been just essential movements, so only going to the grocery store, doctors, pharmacy, things like that. So we've had to do like an at-home gym, and I'm fortunate enough that Texas Strength Systems is a manufacturer that's really close by to me. It's close to the Muscle Factory, the gym I train at. We've gotten some equipment from them, and they had an extra squat rack that they graciously let me borrow with about 600 pounds of weight in a barbell. And I also had some 1-inch standard dumbbell handles and about 80 pounds of standard plates too. So I have enough to make do. So I'm definitely luckier than a lot of people, and I'm lucky in a sense that my biggest issue is just picking exercises to do. When we have people that have just concerns of health or concerns of just even dying. So I'm extremely fortunate and blessed, and every day I'm lucky to do what I do. But anyway, that's my current setup. So we're at home, we're at the home gym. That's what we're going to do today. We're going to go through a pull day garage session. But just to update on where I'm at currently, is sitting around 241.4 pounds this morning, which if you watch my last video, I was at the same body weight. The composition from that last video, I would probably say I'm just a touch softer, but I got to a point in these past 4 weeks when I was at a 241, it kind of comes up and down my body weight, that it didn't look as good. So we started pulling back food a little bit. And this is now 10 weeks into just HRT for me. So metabolically, you're not quite as efficient with food, and I can't handle quite as much food volume either. So I've had some diet changes that have been in place, and my full diet is posted below so y'all can take a look at it. I was doing 2 900-gram carb days on a push day and a pull day. That's been pulled back to just doing it once a week on my push day. And that push day is right before my leg day. So push is a body part that I do want to put a lot of priority to, but then that day leads me over into leg training, so I still have good glycogen storages and fueled adequately for performance on that day. And the other alterations that I've made, that I had some blood work done recently, and everything looked really good on it. The only thing was my HDL was the highest it's been in like 2 years. But also with that, my LDL has come up and my cholesterol has come up, all within range. Like my cholesterol was a 170, my LDL was 96. I didn't have a apoprotein B count, like a LDL particle size count, so I just have to go off that for atherogenic risk. And overall, I'm all within normal limits for everything. Triglycerides were right around 170, which is, you don't want them over 150. But you have to put that all in context. So I made a little pie chart for everyone so we can look at our lipoproteins. So it's not the actual cholesterol or the actual triglyceride that is atherogenic. It's the actual lipoproteins. So when you have a blood test, you're measuring LDL-C or HDL-C. So you're actually measuring the green is cholesterol, red is triglyceride. So we have our LDL particle, our HDL particle, and our VLDL particle. So when you have your blood test done, you're measuring how much cholesterol, the green part, is in LDL cholesterol, LDL-C. You also have a triglyceride measure in your blood. So that's a total triglyceride, which would be a component of the red. The red could be VLDL, could be LDL, could be some in HDL. But as you see, the triglyceride makes a very voluminous, large particle. And those large particles are particles that can't penetrate into the arterial wall and cause that atherogenic process. So if you've heard small, dense LDL particles are very atherogenic because they can more easily pass into the intima of the artery and cause atherosclerosis. So what is nice to have would be an LDL particle number, so you know how many LDL particles you have. So if you have an LDL cholesterol number, but you don't have many particles, well, that means the particles are larger and they wouldn't be as atherogenic. Now, if you had that same cholesterol number but a lot of LDL particles, well, that means they're very small and dense and much easier to penetrate the intima of the artery and cause the atherogenic process. So with someone, if your triglycerides are increasing, but you're still within a normal total cholesterol number and your normal LDL number, well, likely you have a higher amount of VLDL, which can still be atherogenic, but you have less total particle number, so it's a less atherogenic component. However, in general, VLDL, LDL, there's some other in-betweens, IDL and some other remnants. All those are still atherogenic, technically. So as a whole, your total LDL number and also your total cholesterol number can still be some general guidelines to go by, but still looking at the whole picture. That's my total quick breakdown of lipoproteins in serum. So for me, like I don't have a very atherogenic lipoprotein lipid panel, because everything is within normal limits. However, triglycerides are up, so it is something I do want to bring down. So I made some diet alterations because I've been pushing carbohydrates so high for a while now. So things that can help with that, because it usually is your blood sugar is getting converted in the liver to triglyceride, and that's why you see elevated triglyceride levels. So I reduced carbohydrate. So my moderate days came down from 500 grams of carbs to 300 grams of carbs. I added in 20 grams of fat. And those type of fats that I add in are important as well. I know there's so much information on like saturated fats, okay, and it's really, if you're replacing saturated fat with unsaturated fatty acids, it tends to have a improvement in LDL and total cholesterol levels, and can improve, if you're replacing with omega-3s, can improve HDL as well. So the type of fats to add in, replacing carbohydrate, would be, for me, I'm using olive oil and walnuts. Walnuts are high in ALA, it's omega-3 fatty acid, and then your olive oil is high in monounsaturated fatty acids, which is great for lowering LDL levels and more neutral for HDL. So that's what I've done currently as far as diet goes, and swapping out those carbohydrates and fats. And we'll test blood work here again a little bit and see how it goes. As far as training goes, I'm running the same split. So I do pull push legs, take an off day, do pull push, then take another off day. So it's a big emphasis on back and chest and shoulders. But overall, I'm fairly happy with the composition that I'm at and what's going on. Strength's been slowly improving. I feel great as far as joint integrity goes. I've had some issues with my coracobrachialis with a lot of my pressing and getting some anterior delt pain, and that's been resolving. Actually, going to more free weights has been helpful. So I've enjoyed it, actually, using just barbell and dumbbell and just basic movements. So it's stuff that I've kept in place. So for this current workout, I deadlifted 2 days ago because I just wanted to. I just needed to have something fun to look forward to with all this going on in the world, and deadlift got me excited. So I was doing a hack squat good morning, which is very braced, very controlled, but I don't have that anymore. And also with that, you can shift around and get good leverage with it, and it's been hard to kind of track progress, and deadlift is very, very straightforward. And I originally removed pulling moves because of my forearm tendonitis, and that's been great. So I can get some extra trap and spinal erector loading on my leg day, and it still hits my glutes hard, which is an area that I still want to improve. Today, doing pull. Ah! So my lower back is still taxed from deads. I had programmed barbell bent over row as my first exercise for the day. And so that was kind of a consideration going into it, like lower back's feeling taxed, how are these rows gonna go? And you go into the gym with the mindset that I'm fatigued, what's gonna happen? But then you can just prove yourself wrong. So these barbell rows, I worked up. Last time I hit 335 for 9. Today I went to 345 and still hit 9. So still able to load more. And on my back offset, I backed down to the same weight, 295, and added another 2 reps on. It just felt controlled, feel everything. I like programming the bent over barbell row first because it's for one, requires the most stability of your torso, and also is the most taxing. It also hits the back entirely from everything. Spinal erectors, lats, traps, it'll hit your entire back. So I don't want to put that in the end when I'm very, very fatigued, might not be able to load. So I want to be able to use the most load possible across all those muscle groups. So that's why I put it right first, hitting a set of like 8 to 10, then backing off in weight for like 12 to 15 reps. From there, for programming, I don't have any pull-down machines. I only have a pull-up bar with some neutral grip variations to it. So I'm going from a row now into a pull. And I'm going with a neutral grip pull because that, for one, that gives me the biggest range of motion. And while I'm still fairly fresh, I can get that lat really short and drive that elbow down to hip. Well, later in the session, it's very hard to get that lat short and with a lot of tension because you're fatigued. So it makes more sense to put that up closer in the session for a lat movement, something that's a little bit more narrow of a pull. Same rep range as the barbell row. Next in the session, I'm moving back to another row. This one's gonna be a trap emphasis and going with a prone laying on a bench. So if I can do more chest support today, just because of the deads from the previous day, I will. But doing a prone laying on a incline bench, doing a dumbbell row, and just working up to a set of 10, keeping my elbows flared out and just driving back, really focusing on protraction, retraction of the scapulas to really focus on traps and rear delts. I go to failure. I improved on that lift as well, and then I go straight into 10 shrugs, or pretty much just shrugs to failure. So your traps, they can withstand a lot more than what I can just doing a row. My rear delts and biceps all fail out first, so to continue taking the traps too closer to failure, I just continue with shrugs, and you will light up your traps. From the lower to mid to upper traps, you'll hit all of it really, really hard. And 2 sets there. Then I go back to another vertical pull movement, and what I go to is a wider grip, pronated pull-up. The range of motion's cut down because I keep my elbows flared out, so I'm only pulling up to about maybe forehead level, and the focus kind of shifts a little bit. It's still lats, of course, but the way the elbow will travel, rather than going straight down the hip, it's kind of going backwards a little bit, and you'll hit more teres major, which if you look at your back, that drop right below your shoulders is that teres major, and then it comes down to your lats. So you want to build up that widest part, that teres major, and it's good to do because you're going to be doing more of a partial movement towards the end when you're already getting fatigued. So I did 2 sets there, and that was 8 sets total for back work. And since I'm coming off these deadlifts, which is already taxing back, I don't need any more volume. And for me, that's a good amount to do. So then I can move in my isolation work. So for isolation work, I don't have a pec deck fly. I could use dumbbells, but I'm not terribly fond of dumbbells because of the loading curve, because you really only get tension once you're getting the muscle into the shortened phase. So I just do a band pull apart, and I do them on a bench. I lay supine, and so I can really plant my traps down, retract the scapulas so I know my traps aren't going to be contributors, and just do band pull aparts. I do 3 sets there to failure, and that's great for the rear delts. I get a really good connection with them and really drive a lot of blood. Looking for a pump with this one. So this is more metabolic work, metabolic stress, getting its cell swelling effect, so you should get a good pump in your rear delts if you're doing these correctly. Next I move into biceps, and biceps for me, they're a strong body part, and so I don't need a lot of volume, so I just do 3 sets and do them on an incline bench, a preacher curl. And you'll see with a preacher curl, I want a good strength curve. So with a preacher curl, you get a lot of load with the dumbbell when your arm is extended, and as you come up, you won't get as much. So I take a band and attach it to the bottom of the bench. So as I'm curling up and that load is reducing with the dumbbell, I'm getting more tension off the band. So it kind of evens out the strength curve and makes it a really good exercise. Like the rear delts, I just do 3 sets to failure on that one. And then I'll do 1 set of reverse curls with dumbbells, and I use 25 pounds, but I just get as many reps as possible. So I hit over 20 reps, 20 to 30 reps. Like that's kind of like what I'm looking for in that one. And that's my complete garage day pull day. So we'll show you guys some other garage workouts that I'm doing here at home, just back to basics. I actually enjoy training at home. There's just less distraction. I'm more focused. I'm like the introverted guy. Like I'm not really outgoing, and people will come up and talk to you in the gym sometimes, which is fine. I enjoy that. But here at home, there's no mirrors. It's just me and the weight and trying to beat my logbook every time. And that's what I love. And going back to these basic movements, like I'm excited about deadlift. I'm excited about just doing like a barbell back squat. I look forward to those lifts and just getting strong. I think a lot of people have missed that over time. It's like to get big, you need to get strong. Like both go in hand. And you're getting bigger, you should be getting stronger also. So tracking the logbook is just so important. And these basic barbell moves, they're movements that you just can't cheat around. You can't shift around in a machine. You can shift around in a machine and make it a little bit easier with the barbell. It's very difficult to do so. But anyway, thanks always guys for tuning in. Again, I'll be starting true prep in like 4 weeks, which is crazy that we're already be 20 weeks out from the Olympia, and we'll be full blown mode whether I'm here at home prepping away. It doesn't change for me. I'm just going to do it because I know at some point we're going to get past this, and I'm still going to be a bodybuilder once we are past this. I'm fucking determined. So there's no reason why I can't start prep. So this next video, it should be the beginning of a prep for us. Anyway, anything you guys that y'all have questions or want to see out of me, just let me know in the comments below. Happy to always hear from you and answer back to y'all. So thanks again. We'll see you next time.